Hi, boys. I'm reading the storybook that is called A Family Affair. On a quiet night in the galaxy, the Guardians were gathered in the Milano, waiting for their next big mission. Just then, the ship's incoming message light began to blink. Blink, blink, blink. The Guardians all huddled over the light. Oh boy, Rocket said. Nebula has stolen a device from Nova Corps, and they need our help. So they say they will help them. These are the Guardians of the Galaxy, boys and girls. Let's see. Gamora was thinking about her adopted sister Nebula. She couldn't think about their history and the siblings' rivalry that started early in their lives. As young girls, Gamora and Nebula had been taken in by the most feared supervillains in the universe, Thanos. And there's Thanos. And so the sisters were rivals when they were in their early lives. Thanos had been a harsh parent to Gamora and Nebula. To inspire competition between the two, he forced them to fight each other over and over again. Gamora ran away from her evil family in search for something better. She joined Star-Lord on his adventures, but she often wished Nebula would have been joined them too. So she wanted Nebula to join her, the Guardians of the Galaxy, with Star-Lord, but Nebula still wanted to be with her stepfather, Thanos. The Guardians sprang into action. Gamora guided Rocket and Star-Lord as they flew the Milano, chasing after Nebula. Gamora knew she couldn't let Nebula get away. They flew through the galaxy following Gamora's lead. They landed on Morag, and Star-Lord was skeptical, but Gamora had a feeling. "If this is where you're hiding," Gamora muttered as they landed, "then I'll find you." They're trying to find Nebula, and they were chasing after her. So they went all the way to Morag, the planet Morag. So let's see, they did found her. And there's the spaceship, boys and girls. She caught Nebula stealing in the past and had been learned that she was wired into a whole underground network for black market goods linked by the subterranean tunnels of Morag. Gamora ran ahead of the rest of the Guardians. She navigated the streets until she spotted an old wooden door with strange markings etched into it. She descended a creaky staircase into the darkness below. Soon Gamora heard a low voice in the distance. Up ahead, she saw a shaft of light where the tunnel ended, leading into a large room. She slowly crept toward the entrance. "Is someone there?" Nebula's voice rang out. "Why don't you quit skulking in the shadows and reveal yourself?" Buster Gamora entered the room to find Nebula standing in a corner holding a strange-looking device. It was round and covered with dials and buttons. Gamora thought it must be some kind of weapon. So they found Nebula. Gamora found Nebula. And Nebula's holding some type of weapon. I don't know what it is. Let's see what happens next. "Ah, Gamora," Nebula said. "What a very unpleasant surprise." Gamora rolled her eyes. "Time's up, sister of mine," she snarled as she lunged at Nebula. But Nebula pressed a button on the device she was holding and Gamora froze. In horror, Gamora watched her arm lower itself and drop her sword. Gamora was powerless to respond. Nebula seemed to be controlling her body with the device. "Clever, isn't it?" Nebula, Nebula said. They're doing all sorts of wonderful things with technology at Nova Corps these days. Imagine all the trouble I can cause now. Uh-oh, and this is not going good for Gamora. Because Nebula is now controlling her with a new weapon. So let's see what happens next. Suddenly, Star-Lord burst into the room. Not so fast. When you mess with Gamora, you mess with all of us. Rocket ran in behind Star-Lord, holding a giant cannon. Then Drax came in. He looked over at Gamora and said, "Why is she just standing there?" "I am Groot," a deep voice boomed out. Groot lumbered through the doorway. "No, pal," Rocky said. "I don't think she turned her into a tree." "Okay," Star-Lord said to Nebula. "We can do this the easy way or the fun way." Nebula grinned. "Let's have some fun, shall we?" So now Nebula is going to have some fun with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So let's see what happens next. Just then Nebula pressed a button on the device and thrust it into the Guardians' directions. The whole team froze where they were. Nebula turned her back to the Guardians, and because she was distracted, Rocket managed to free his hand. He shot his cannon, destroying the Nova Corps device. When the device shattered, the Guardians were released from Nebula's hold. The Guardians flexed their limbs as they regained control of their bodies. Gamora picked up her sword and turned to face Nebula, but her sister was already on the move. The Guardians followed Nebula into the tunnels. Gamora was the first to catch up with her sister. So they were fighting off against Nebula, and they were freeing, all thanks to Rocket Raccoon's weapon, that big cannon. And now they're all free. So now they're gonna try to go after Nebula. Gamora is trying to go after her. So let's see what happens next. You want us to hang back while you take her?" Star-Lord asked Gamora as the Guardians caught up. Gamora had learned that family didn't just mean being raised together, but being there for each other. Her real family was standing right in front of her, and she needed their help to defeat her adopted sister. She shook her head. "No," she said. "We're a team. Let's do this together." The team nodded at Gamora as they headed toward Nebula. With some help from Drax and the rest of the team, Gamora propelled toward Nebula and knocked her off her feet. Ooh, she knocked the Nebula out, and the Guardians are helping Gamora catching Nebula. And that's really cool. Always catching the bad guys trying to escape. The Guardians watched as Gamora handcuffed Nebula. "Now you're the one who can't move, sister," she said smugly. Gamora turned to the Guardians. "You know, we're not just a team. You guys are also my family." "I am Groot," Groot said proudly. Rocket muttered, "You're right. This is one weird, dysfunctional family." Gamora laughed. "I wouldn't have it any other way." So they're happy because they caught Gamora's sister Nebula. And then it's the end of our story. Well, Gamora does have family. Well, her real family is the Guardians of the Galaxy. And she has her stepfather, who's Thanos, who didn't always want Gamora competing with Nebula to see who's the strongest of them all. And that is not right. It's better to be a team with a family than being rivals and enemies. So I think what Gamora was trying to is to communicate with her sister Nebula, but Nebula was trying to impress Thanos. But Thanos' plan did not work at the end of the story. Because now Gamora has her sister Nebula and her family, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll be right back with my buddies.